And ask keyword of variable number of arguments. Okay, guys, if no questions, then we'll start with today's topic. So yesterday we saw how do we define a function and how to pass parameters, arguments, variable number of parameters, variable number of key argument, variable number of keyword arguments. So those things we have seen. Today we are going to see some more flavors of functions. So just defining a new function test, and this is just going to print display test. Okay, and we will call this test. What do you call this? Function assignment. So this is very simple function, guys, not taking any parameters. We're just displaying a message display test. Okay, we run it. We are getting display test. So functions, we can store the functions. If you want to see the type of function, okay, we have so far we have seen type of different variables, right? So if we see the type of this function, in a none type, because it is not returning anything. Okay. So I can assign this function to a variable, let's say fun, okay? This, and then what we can do, we can call this function f like this. Like this. So this name of this function, guys, I'm assigning to another variable, okay? And we can call that, then we can, with the help of that variable, we can call the function like this. So this will also give you the same output. And if you want to see the type of this fun, it belongs to class function. Okay. So from this we understand functions are also like, an object, just like we have integer object, string object, a list object, tuples object. Function is also an object, and we can assign like this, okay, name of the function to another variable. And that variable, I'm not, with the help of that variable function, I'm calling the original function. Okay, this is not allowed in other programming language, but this is one of the features in Python, that they allow this function to be assigned to some other variable, and with that variable we can call that function. Is it clear, guys? Any questions here?
No, done.
Okay. Now, as in the previous day, we saw there was one error when we were doing something this particular program. Okay, when we were running this, we're getting some errors. I run it again. Please enter the amount to be withdrawn 800. See, we have something called local variable bank balance reference before assignment. So what is happening? Let's say in this particular function, we have a variable, let's name. We'll say name is name, okay? So if I run this, given a string here, we are getting name is Sam, okay? And if we have another variable here, name, let's say I call it inner inside function. Okay, now what will be the output? Name is inside function. Okay. So what happened, guys? Like there is something called scope. Okay. Now we have two variable names here. One is outside and one is inside. Okay. So and if we so inside it is printing this, okay. If we print it outside, so we'll get, for the same variable we have two values. One is inside function, one is sum. Why this kind of thing is happening? Because we have different scope. Okay. What are the different scope? One is the local scope. Okay. When you define a variable, when you define a variable inside a function, the scope of the variable when define the variable will be inside function. Okay, like so scope is like a visibility. You can say that scope is nothing. Scope is your like the region where your we can say variables or functions will be you can say visible. So when we declare any variable inside a function, scope is within the function only, visibility. Okay, if we try to use it outside the function, we get an error. So in this case, we are using this outside the function, but since we have declared another variable, so not getting any error. But if we comment out this, okay, now we have only one variable, guys, name inside function. Agree? There is no variable outside the function. Yes or no, guys?
Yes.
Okay, there is only one variable inside. So if we run this, it will give us error name is not defined. Why? Because this name, the scope of it is within the function only, it's not visible outside. So this is local scope. But when we declare something outside, we don't have anything inside. Excuse me. So we don't have any variable name inside the function. I've commented out. We have only one outside. Okay. When we run this, we won't get any error. Why? Because this is having a global scope. Okay. So we have seen local scope and we have seen global scope. So far clear difference between local scope and global scope, guys?
Yes.
Global scope is like you can have multiple functions and each function inside test one method. We are using here also. Okay, since it's a global scope, it will be visible everywhere, wherever you want to use. Okay. Why this? We are not calling this function, but we call this function this one. Okay, this is about assignment we saw, and function again. So inside test one method, Sam. Okay, this is global scope. Now in this particular case where we are getting error, so we have something in global scope bank balance. Okay. And we don't have anything inside. We have not declared any local bank balance. So when you use this assignment operator, okay, when you use this assignment operator inside a function, it will assume that it will try to create a new local variable called bank balance when you have this assignment operator. So in this case, if you see, we didn't had any assignment operator and it was printing it clearly, print name, no problem with this. Because we are not using this assignment operator. But in this function also, if we have, let's say I'm doing something like this, name equals to name plus, let's say I'm concatenating some name at the end like Peter. Okay. Whenever there is an assignment operator, it will assume that there is this variable is a local variable. Okay. So when we try to run this, see, we are getting same kind of error, local variable name referenced before assignment. Okay. So what it is trying to do, it is trying to increment name. Okay. But since name is local, we have not given any value. It is telling me that, before you initialize it, you are trying to do concatenation. That is why we are getting this error. Reference before assignment. Before assigning any value to this name, you are trying to concatenate. It's not clear what is the value of name. It is not taking. It is no longer taking the name from the global variable. So whenever we use this assignment operator inside function, it will assume that this is a local variable. So first we need to initialize some value, then only we can change the value. So is it clear, guys, why we're getting that error? Have you understood
Yes.
this? Yeah, this is a little bit, advanced topic. So they might face some difficulty in understanding, but if you, just have some patience, you'll be able to understand this. Okay. So I hope this error is clear. So what we can do here, let's say I want to tell that, okay, this is not a local variable, this is a global variable. So what you have to do is you have to declare the variable as global like this inside the fucking global name. When you do this, you won't get any error. You see this? Now we are not getting any error because we are telling it explicitly that this is a global variable. So is the difference clear between a global variable and a local variable, guys?
Yes, sir.
Global variable versus local variable. So in our this program, if we here also if we mention global bank balance as global, so we won't get any error. We make it global, there's no problem. No errors because we are telling it's a global function. Okay, so far we are clear. So we have four scopes, guys. One is the local scope. One is a local scope. Second one is an enclosing scope. Okay, I will tell you what is enclosing scope. Third one is global. And fourth one is built-in. Built-in, like we can use print, type anywhere, right? These functions. So these are called built-ins. They can be used anywhere. Okay. So when we declare any variable, first it will try to search in the local scope, okay, locally. Then it will check into enclosing. I will tell you what is enclosing. Then it will check into global. Then it will check into built-in. If it is not finding the variable name in any of these four scopes, then it will throw an error that this value or variable is not defined. Okay. So let me tell you about enclosing. What is enclosing scope? So let's say we have a nested function. Okay. So this is an outer function. Inside this outer function, I have one print message just to show that this is inside outer function. Okay. And okay, I will close the bracket. Inside this, we have another function called inner function. So this inner function is printing inside inner. And let's say we have two variables. One is declared in outer function called x. I am giving it the value of, let's say, outer. And let's say inside inner function, we have a variable. I'm giving the value as inner. Okay, and inside outer function, and value of x is x. Inside inner function and value of x is. Okay, so now how do we call the inner function? Okay, so if we call the inner function directly, say this. If I call the inner function directly, we are getting an error. Inner is not defined. Why? Because it is inside the outer function. From outside, it is not visible. Okay. So what we have to do, guys, we have to, where this function ends, right? We have to call the function from inside the outer function only. Okay. One way. Like we have to call this function from here, our inner. Because the scope, guys, what is the scope of this inner function? Is it local, global, what is it?
Local within the outer function.
Local.
It is local to the outer function, right? So that is why it is not visible from outside. Okay, but from the outside, if you call outer, that is fine. Okay. Now if I run this, so first outer is getting called outer, it will come here, it will print inside outer function value of x is outer. Okay, and then it is just defining the inner function, not doing anything. It's coming to the statement, it's calling the inner function now. And then the inner function, it is calling this print function. Okay, this is one way. Okay. Another way of doing this is same thing. Instead of calling the inner function, what is this outer function doing? This is returning an inner function. Return inner. Okay. So what will happen? This is the return type of the outer function. So what it is returning, guys? It is returning this inner function, right? Name of the inner function. So it is storing here, and then it is calling the inner function. Just like you can return a variable, similarly it is returning a function. So yeah, so first we are calling the outer function, will print this, and then it is returning this inner function, and we are storing the inner function in this outer variable, and we are printing, calling the function. Clear so far, guys? Any doubt in this?
Yes, Ganesh.
Okay. Now, so yeah. So this scope. Okay. Now I was talking about enclosing scope. Okay. So there is a variable. So we have seen global variable, global keyword, right? There is another keyword called non-local. Non-local. Okay. This is going to search for the variable in the outer function. That is, its outer function is nothing but called enclosing scope. Okay.
Sir, I have a question here.
Yes.
Like in other languages, what we get, like there are there are some methods of function, and other than that, there are main method. But here, I'm not able to see that. So, am I missing that, or like is it not there?
No, there is nothing called main method here.
So whatever we are writing in the downward side, so what would be called, like to where I'm calling all the functions? Did you get my question?
No, just like in Java, you're saying that is the starting point of the application, right?
Yeah.
Inside main method, that is where the execution begins. So that is not the case here. You can execute like if so. Suppose if we are running this, okay, we are running this particular function. So where is the code?
Actually, I just want to know the sequence of the flow of this program. Like from above it will go, or from downward it will go.
I will just show you that. It will read from top to bottom only. So if I paste my code here, okay. So we have a function def outer, okay. So what happened? It just allocated some memory to this outer function. You see this? Okay. It is not going inside this now. Again, now it is going inside this, and then we have another function called def inner. Okay. Now this inner function, this is also present here. Okay. These two methods. So first it will read from top to bottom, and it is going to, this function definitions, they are going to store it somewhere. Okay. And then this code will be executed. Let outer, and right now it's a little bit confusing here, but let me make it simple for you. Let's say we don't have this inner function at all. Okay. Let me delete this. Now we have only one function outer and we are calling this outer. So just like a variable, right? Before accessing the variable, you have to define the variable. Okay. So similarly, this before you calling the function, you have to define the function. Okay. So you see this, the inner part that didn't get executed, right? We just have a function called outer, and this like just like a variable is defined a equals to 20. So it is just defining a function here. And when we are calling it, then it will go inside the function and it will execute it.
Okay, so you are saying like first it will identify that definition DEF, then after that it won't go inside that definition. First it will go like wherever it is calling. Then
Correct.
afterward it will go inside that.
Correct. So just
Oh,
like see, just like a variable, first a variable A is defined, right? So this is the global frame. Okay, global frame means this belongs to global scope.
mm,
Okay.
yes.
And then we have another function here also defined. Okay. It's not executing what is inside the function. And then this now the control is over the outer function. See, now outer is getting called. Now it will go inside the outer function. You see this yellow part highlighting here. Okay, and
Got it,
then
got it.
this is
Mm,
the. But in case of nested function, what we saw, it was going inside. But for inner function, it was not going inside. Till outer function it was going inside. Okay. So nested function is a little bit execution is different. So coming back to the nested function, what we are trying to understand, yeah, non-local. Yes.
Danish, one more question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you go back to that same page? Okay. What is the use of declaring this function to one more variable, ret underscore outer?
Yes, so
Directly.
directly, so if you want to call the inner function from, from the global scope, not from inside, right now, what before this returning, what we are doing, either we can return or we can call the function here only, and there's no point in then using this.
Okay.
Okay, but if you want to call the inner function from the global scope, you have to return that inner function. And you have to store it in some variables. This function is returning a function, right? This function is returning outer function, returning another function. So we have to store it in some variable, and then we are calling that inner function.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so we understood about local scope, we understood about global scope. Then there's something called non-local scope. I was telling about non-local. Okay. So for non-local guys, it will, for example, if I declare here as non-local X and I comment out this. Okay. So non-local will try to refer to the function that is just outside it. Like it is a sub function of this, right? It will check whether this variable is in the parent function or not, and it will print that value of the x variable x. So here, see, we have commented out inner. Okay. Now we have not given any value, and we have mentioned this is a non-local. So it will just check in the parent function, is there any variable called x or not, and it will print that value. Okay. So now if you run this, you will see both the values outer. Okay. Now suppose if you don't have a variable declared in the outer function, but you have declared something non-local x. Okay. So it will give you an error. See, no binding for non-local found. So for using non-local guys, you always have to have the same variable in the parent function. Okay, so we have seen local, non-local, and global. Is the difference clear between local, non-local? For local, we don't need to give that word local because anything inside the function is local only. Is it clear the difference, guys? In closing scope, you understood about this enclosing scope. What do you mean by enclosing scope?
Yes.
Okay. And then we have at the end, we have something called built-in. Okay, built-in. Like built-in, we already have so many built-in functions. Okay, we can use it anywhere. So in this case, let's say, I am let me go to a new function. Okay. So here, let's say I've removed this non-local x. Okay. I have removed this non-local x. Even if it is there, fine. Even if it is there. Let's say inside print function, inside this print function, I'm not printing x. Okay. I am printing something called, let's say, print. Let's say I'm printing only print. It is built-in scope here. Let me call built-in scope. So, so print is printing this. Non-local x, that is fine. So let me give some value to this print. Print equals to inner, and then we are printing something. Str object is not callable. Okay, and there's a name clash. Let me take another, let's say type. I'm printing in type. So if you guys see inside outer function value of x, this is a different thing built-in type. This and the value of x is type equals to inner. Yeah. So type is inner, and if we remove comment of this type and then we try to run this. So what happened, guys, when you declare a variable, okay? So first it will check whether do we have any variable in the local as any local variable, okay? So in this case, when we were printing type, right, it was checking is there any variable called type in the local scope. So we have a variable, right, in this. So it will print that variable. See, inner, right? If it is not in the local scope, it will check whether that is present in, non-local scope. So if we give the name type here, okay. So now if we run it, no binding for, okay, we have to call, we have to tell this is a non-local, right? So we have to give type here. So you see now, since this type was not present in the local scope of inner function, it was checking, do we have in the enclosing scope? Yes, so this it is present. It printed this. Okay. Let's say it is not printed here. This type is not here also. Okay. Now it will check in the global scope. So let me declare something in the global scope. So this is global. We run this now. See global. Okay. Now let's say we don't have, neither we have in local nor it is in non-local, and it is also not present in global. Then it will search for, is there any built-in type like this? So type is a built-in function, we all know, right, guys? So it will, yeah, this is it belongs to class type. So this is a built-in type which is just showing. Okay. Now if we don't have, let's say instead of type, I mentioned here types. Okay. So neither it is present in local scope, neither in the enclosing scope, neither in the global, neither there is anything called built-in called types. So in this case, you will get this error that this is not defined name error. So the basic, they call this rule LEGB rule. Okay, guys. L is for local, E is for enclosing scope, G is for global scope, and B is for what is it? Built-in type. So is this clear, guys?
Yes.
Scope, the different scopes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a scope again. There's something called namespace. Okay. Some these namespace. So we saw these are the different scopes. So when we store these variables, like let's say, in this we have some variables a equals to 20, b equals to b. So these scope and this namespace are closely interrelated to each other. If you understand one, you can understand the other also. And let's say inside outer function, we have one variable called type, which we are giving as outer. And inside this inner function, let's say I have another variable called type, which is called inner. Okay. So these variables, guys, are given a name A, B. Okay. So we have this named A, comma B. Then we have the name of the function called outer. We have the name of the function, and inside that outer function, we have another variable called type. So these are the different names, guys. Okay, and these names are stored in some places so that when we call this, so when we call this A, it will try to fetch from that particular, space. Okay, so basically all these names are stored at one place, and that place is called nothing but namespace. Okay, so namespace also, it has three categories. It has local namespace, and it has enclosing, uh, it has global namespace. Uh, for example, save this. If we go here, outer, inner, see, okay, F1 is inner, parent is this. So if you see these guys, in global, we have this, uh, a variable A is in global namespace, variable B is in global namespace, and this outer name of the function is in global namespace. Okay. And then we have another namespace here, inside outer for this inner function, and that is in a different namespace. Okay. And the variables that we will give here, that will also be present in this, like local namespace. Okay. Just like scope, we have namespace. So you can consider this namespace, uh, just like scope. Okay, this names are stored in this space. This name is stored in this space so that there is no clash. Okay, uh, because if you see this A20, and if we have the same variable inside this also A20, both the variables are same, but there will be no clash because they are being stored in different namespace. Okay, this is the global namespace, and this namespace outer, whenever there is a function, it will have their own namespace. So all the variables of this function will be stored in this function namespace, local namespace. So there will be no clash even if you use the same variable. So this is nothing but what is called namespace. So both are quite similar only, and like you can say like interchangeably also you can use it. Okay. So this is nothing but namespace, guys. So is this clear, guys? Scope and namespace.
Yes.
Okay. So this was a little bit tricky topic to teach, but done now. Scope and namespace. Okay, so we have seen functions. We have seen nested functions also today, right? One function inside another function. In nested functions, we have seen scopes and namespaces. Now we will see, guys, anonymous function, okay, or lambda function. Anonymous.
This thing I've seen like a lot of time in my code base where I'm working in the project. Lambda.
Lambda, right? Yeah, lambda is very commonly used. And so let's say we have a function called test, and in this function we have one variable it is taking, let's say x, and it is returning the square of that variable. Let's say this is an numerical value num x, and we are returning num x. Num x. Okay, so if we call this function test of n, to give you, it is returning, but we are not printing it. Okay, so let me print this. Let me store it in some variable called result, and we are printing the result. Okay, so see, whenever we have a scenario like this, when there is a single, not a single, when your function can do the operation in a single line like this. So instead of this function, you can use a lambda function. Okay, so how do we define it? We have this lambda keyword here, lambda. This is the input, okay, guys. Whatever we give before this colon, this is the input, and this is the return statement x into x. Okay, so this is your input, what we are passing input parameter, and this is the return statement. Okay, and so you store this value in this result LA, and you just pass the parameter here, let's say 12. Okay, and you can print the same. Either store it in a variable or print the same. So if I run this, you get 144. Is this clear, guys? The syntax. So we can have more than one variable also. Let's say x, y, z. Okay, there are three input parameters you are passing, and you want to do x into y into z. Okay, so let's say 12, 2, and 1. So it will give you 20. Any questions on this, guys? It's a very simple and anonymous function.
It's clear, but like we need to practice more.
No, first, yeah, that will practice, but the syntax is very simple. Okay, guys, input and output.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's clear.
So what? The use of lambdas are many. Okay, lambdas are used in combination with let's say.
Sir, I have a question. Like, when will be the situation we will get to know that I need to use lambda, like that kind of thing? Is there any kind of like like this will come after experience or practicing, or like is there any kind of like standard procedure, like so that I will be like directly use lambda? Did you get my point? Hello.
Oh, sorry, I was speaking on mute days. Sorry. Yes. So see, basically, if there is a one-liner function like this,
Okay.
okay, then you can go for lambdas. Okay, one-liner function like this. Okay. And but lambda does not promote code readability. It's always many people use lambdas very often. Okay, but if there's lambdas we generally use when we have something called one-time usage kind of thing, right? When we are not calling that function again and again. So in those kind of scenarios we use lambdas generally.
Okay.
Okay. But lambdas
Yeah.
are most commonly used, with map, filter, reduce,
Yeah. Exactly.
right? So when
Like
we
in data engineering, I have seen like let's say like one-to-one field processing for the every row for that kind of thing.
correct, correct.
I
So we will see those things here also.
Okay.
We will see those things here also. Okay, so we have seen lambdas. What else do we need? Oh, yeah, we have something called anonymous function, and then we have something called generator functions. Okay, so now we are going to see, let's say we have, let's see the use of this map filter, and reduce we'll see when we will study about modules. Let's see this map and filter, okay guys. So let's say we have a list of names. We have Shivam, we have uh, Sam, we have Abhirup, we have Akash, we have Anatoly, so these are some names, guys. Okay. Uh, Now what I want to do is and let's say we have a function here, like this test function only. Let's say we have this, or let me create another function. Def display name, and in this we are just returning this name. So, and we have this map function. So what map function will do, guys? It will take, one function name. Okay, so in this we have declared one function called display, and it will take an one list. Okay. So this is the function name. This function is not, it is just what it will do for each. So this list has got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For each element, it is going to call this function. Okay, like it will pass this as input. So Shimam will be passed here first, and let's say it is converting it to lower. Okay. What this function will do, what we are trying to do here is, we are converting each string of the list to lowercase. Okay, so a normal way we'll be doing with the for loop, right, guys? Like we will use a for loop for element in list of names, and then we will do like how will we do here? Like if we do it in a normal way, we will iterate over it for element in list of names. We'll do element dot lower. Okay, and maybe we will take a list here, empty list, and we'll append it. So what map will do, guys, instead of using this for loop and iteration, this will automatically pass all the values to this function map. Okay, and so if I just print this, it's a map object, so we have to convert this to a list at the end. Okay. So you saw this automatic okay. So instead of this, guys, instead of going through each element, so map function will automatically take each element from the list and put it in this function. Okay, so this is the use of map, guys. And where does lambda comes into picture? So lambda function can be used here, like instead of this function, right? Display. So let me comment out this E what we have done here. So instead of display method being used over here, display, what we can use in for the same function, we can use it using lambda function, right? What will be the lambda function for the display? If we don't, we can have something like this, like lambda, it will take as one input and it will change it to lowercase. That's it. Okay, now we have commented out this. So this function, since it is a one-liner function, we are using a lambda function to do this. Same. See this? So like this map function, many people use a lambda also. And if it is having more than one line, then you have to use a function. But if it is only a one liner, then you can use a lambda like this. Lambda function.
Sir, can you please like visualize that one in the like flow of that, like
Yeah.
how it is taking display then after that?
Yeah, sure. Let's check in the visualizer. Let's have declare this list. We have a list and we are using this anonymous function. Okay, let's see how this visualization shows this. So first variable it took as Shivam. We are giving input, right? And the input is getting stored in which variable, guys? In X, right? So X is Shivam. And you see it has shown me a lambda sign over here on top. Can you see this lambda sign? Okay. So this is the input. And we do a forward. And what it is returning, you see this? Small s. Okay. Again, it will take the next element, Sam. It will convert it to small. Again, Abhirup, it will convert it to small. Okay. And since we are not storing it anywhere, that is why it is not showing me the output. But at the end, we are, after this entire thing is completed, all the elements we are converting to a list and then we are printing. Haskell, and then we are getting this out.
So sir, in the print statement,
yeah,
there is inside list there is map, and after that there is the
function.
there is
That is
a
the
list.
function. So after map, this is a function, anonymous function we are using.
Yeah.
And
Then
then we have
after
second
that-
parameter is a list.
Okay, so list here it is this. So like in another condition, whenever we have to iterate over, like we have to process over any iterable, so
Yeah.
we have to place there that thing, right?
Correct. It can be a tuple, any iterable, right?
Let's say for example there is a like pandas data frame. We have to row wise we have to do processing, so we will put pandas data frame there, right?
Data frame, yes, correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, when we will cover pandas, there also we will see this use of this map filter.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That would
And
be much clearer.
in fact, in PySpark also, if you see, there will be map, the use of map and filter
Yeah,
will
yeah,
be
yeah,
there,
exactly.
right? Everywhere.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Yes.
So iterable should be there in the later part of that
second
argument.
parameter, second parameter, a second
Okay.
argument, you can say, a second argument. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Clear to everyone, guys? Today I'm not hearing much from Ankit and other
Yes, Ganesh.
participants. Okay, so this was about map, guys, and similar to map, we have something called filter. Okay, so we have something called filter. So filter is the name suggests is used for filtering for some filtering activities. Let's say we have the same list. We have the same list, and from this list I want to filter out only those names which is starting with S. Okay, so if we define a normal function to filter it, let's say the filter names, and we are passing one name to this. So how will we check if name dot starts with, or if name dot starts with S? Okay, and we will return this name. Okay, this will be my condition, and if I want to use filter, we'll just use here on this filter method, and inside this, the first parameter will be the function name, and this the function name is filter names, and the second parameter is a list. Okay, and we will convert this filter to a list. And let's say we are rather than printing here, I am just creating a variable filtered list, and I will print the filtered list in the next step. So this is filter function. Okay, now if I want to achieve the same thing with lambda function, can I convert this function to a lambda function, guys? What do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me what will be the syntax?
LST name
What shall I write here in the output statement?
X dot starts with
It's with S.
What I have given, I will just mention this. Okay, so in this also, can I return here like this, return as name dot starts with, rather than giving this simple thing? Is also fine, right, guys?
yeah.
Yes.
Well, either it will return true or false, right? If it is true, it will take that element. If it is false, it will not take that element.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me keep the same. Right now, I'm not using the lambda function. I'm just showing you the without lambda function only. Invalid syntax. Let me delete this. Okay, so I can find now. I can just replace this function name with the anonymous function here. Control C or control is fine, and we can replace this. And let's say I am commenting. Where are we calling? Yeah, let's talk about fine. Let me comment on this. We run this. Okay. But guys, this map and filter, okay, both were being used earlier, but now we have some feature in list only that can do the same work what this map and filter is doing. Can anyone tell me what is that feature?
Danish, one question before we go to this.
Sure.
Yeah, then what is use of filter there in the last statement?
Uh,
Lambda itself is doing filter with starts with no.
yes. So filter basically it will create a true and false value. So all the values that will be true, it will take that element. Okay. For example, if I run the same thing in visualizer, let's see if I can show you that. Okay, we have this list and we are running this. The second one. And we have to do this. Visualize execution. It takes Shivam and C is returning true, right? And Sham, it will return true. Abhiroop, it will return false. Akash, false. Anatoly, false. Bhaskar, false. So whatever value is true, it will store so that value.
Yeah, can't we do without using filter there?
No, how will you do without filter? See, if we use filter is basically the main like thing of this is, let's say we have this list of names. Okay, so what it will do, it will create a parallel list, and for all the values that are true, it will only display those values. It will create something like this.
Danish, can you please remove one
Check.
filter, then see like what is the result there?
You're saying if I remove this filter,
Yeah,
Yes.
and then
okay, let me copy this entire statement. And paste it here and let me comment out 140. Now you want me to take out this filter.
yeah.
Okay, so this filter function is totally gone. Now see, the basic thing of map and filter is both will take two parameters, map and filter, right? One is the name of the function and the second is the list name. Okay, but here what are we if I run this, if I run this, see, list expected at most one argument got two. Okay, let me remove the list also. So what are we doing here? Are we just this will again what will this will create? This will create one function, lambda function, and there is one list. It is just storing these two values in this filtered list. One is a lambda function and the other is a list in a tuple. So without this filter and map keyword, you cannot have you cannot mention something like this. It will not work.
Okay, so
Without this filter, this has no meaning to this.
okay, so let me clarify one thing. So filter is used to get like if there would be like if we have filter or map, so there would be true or false there, right?
Not for
For-
map, only for filter.
Okay.
Map
But
is just map is taking each element, and if you want to process that element, it will process that element. It won't be able to filter out.
okay, okay. So like, so, yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, like in map, what did we do in map? Did we remove any element? No, we just converted to lower, right? Because map cannot remove the element.
Hmm.
Okay, but filter we filtered out. Let's say we are doing the same thing using filter. Okay, in this filter function, if we do the same thing, x dot lower, I'm not doing starts with this. Okay. So it's not able to, it is just giving me the same thing, just like map. Okay. But if we mention here x dot starts with s, then only this will be able to true and based on true and false value, it will be able to filter this. But let's
So
say if we
like,
have the same thing in map, let's say how that is behaving.
Mhm.
If we put the same thing in map, where is it? This one. Control V and V runs. So it is just giving me, see this? True, true, false, false, false. It is not returning me the values. Okay, and based on this true, true, false, false, false list filter is taking only those elements which are true. It is displaying that.
kind of it is working as if statement wherever it is going, like it will just filter out.
Correct. So that is what we have done. No? If you see this, we initially had the if name starts with this, then return that, right? So kind of like a filter works like that only with an if condition over there. Correct. Clear everyone? Any doubt? Any doubt, guys?
Yeah, clear for me.
Okay. And what about others? Understood, not understood?
Yes, Danish. Understood.
That's clear.
Okay. Now this map and filter thing can be achieved without using, this is old fashioned, though I can see still map filter being used everywhere in Python, but these have been already replaced, by one feature in list. Can anyone tell me, can we achieve the same thing using list, this in one line, just like what we did here?
Comprehension.
Exactly. Can be this map and filter can be achieved, this map and filter functions can be achieved using list comprehension. Okay. For example, this one filtering thing, right? We can easily do it, right? We can just have this for element in list of names if element dot starts with s, right? We'll get a new list. Element element.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
right, guys, we can easily have it. This filter. We don't need that in this scenario, in this kind.
So you're saying in the most of the scenario where it used to be getting used map or filter that can be handled through list comprehension also.
Yes, exactly. Okay, similar thing for map, right? For map, how will we do it? Tell me, guys.
Yeah, we will directly like do.
We don't need this if condition. We'll just say element dot lower, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm.
We are not printing it. Let me print this.
It's much easier and much more readable.
It's much more easier, right?
Yeah.
I am also not a big fan of this lambda functions because it will not be that much readable. This
Yeah, yeah.
for a new person to reading the code base will be very make life difficult one. Okay. Same thing guys, map and filter what they are doing can be achieved using list comprehension. Clear to everyone guys? Any doubt here in this?
Yeah,
Got it.
Ganesh, can you,
Yeah.
Yes, tell me.
yeah, can you do it like elements dot starts with S? We'll see whether it is coming true or false in map.
In map you are telling.
No. Here itself, like it's elements dot lower is there, no?
Yeah.
Instead of lower, can you make
Huh.
it starts with S?
Yes, why not? So we can have
Yeah.
that. Starts with
Okay.
true, false, false. Yes. So this was about map and filter. Reduce we'll cover later when we cover about modules. Okay. So what else is there in function? We have seen method functions, group, anonymous, lambda functions, map, filter. There was yeah, one more thing. I got it now.
Sir, actually, one topic I have seen a lot of
Yeah.
times, init thing and self in the function.
Init and self, you need to have a little bit more patience, Shivam. When we cover about class objects now,
Yeah, yeah, sure.
there we will see that init and self. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say we have a function modify, and in this we are passing two parameters. One is an integer parameter int number, and one is a list of, let's say, numbers. And right now we are not doing anything in this. Let me create two variables for passing it, a as 2 and say we have a list numbers 1, 2, 3, 32, 3, and we call this function modify, and we pass these two arguments a and a list. Inside this we are printing it before calling the function. Print string. No, I'm doing it, this. Okay. Another print I want. Okay. So here, before calling the function, variable value of variable is this, and similarly for calling function, the value of the list is lst. Then we are calling it, and let's say we are modifying the value 0. We are, so this is the first parameter we are calling a actually. So what we are doing is we are just doing int number plus equals to 23. Okay. And in this list, what we are doing, list numbers dot, I'm appending one more element. Okay, let's say I'm appending something, a string for a new element. Fine, guys. So when we call this function, guys, a comma list, what will be the value in this number? What value we are passing? 2. Okay. And what will value we are passing here? 1, 2, 3, 32, 40. Okay. So we are modifying these, and then after modifying also, I want to print the variables, and I want to see whether what they are changed or not. So instead of before, this is after, and this is also after. Save this, and we call it modifying data inside function. I run this. So what is the output you observe here, guys? Which value has changed and which value is not changed?
List has changed, and int has not changed.
List has changed, but that int variable has not changed. Okay. So always remember, guys, that any mutable element if we make any changes to mutable elements inside functions, it will reflect outside the function. Okay, and just like and vice versa for immutable elements. Understood this concept, guys?
Yes, got it.
Okay. Now let's say after modifying this, I want to return these two values. How do we return these two? How can we return these two values, guys, from this function?
Return int number comma list number.
Yeah, multiple return.
Return int number comma list of numbers. Okay. So far we have seen only one variable being returned, but in this case we are returning these two variables. Okay. So by default, when you return two variables, by default it will take it as a tuple. Okay. So if see here we are calling it, and if we store the value like this, okay. And if you try to check the data type of this result, you will see it's a tuple. Print type of some mistake in the spelling. Yes. So what is it, guys? It is class tuple. So either you return like this, or by default it will take it as a tuple, or you can return this as a tuple only. Both are going to work fine. Okay, even if you don't give this round brackets, by default it will take it as a tuple. Clear, guys? Understood?
Yes.
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 So this was all about functions we have covered in details. Now we will study something about modules. Okay, modules. So basically the file which we are creating here, okay, these files that we are creating, and we are giving some names. Okay, these are nothing but these are called modules. Okay, and these are user defined module. We are defining our own module. Okay, there are different types of module. One is user defined modules. One is built-in modules. And the third one is third-party modules. So when we are third-party modules. Okay, so right now I am only concerned with this user-defined modules because we have a separate module for this third-party module. So what comes under third-party module? These are modules that are not present in Python by default that we have to install it. Okay. For example, connecting to any database. For MySQL, we have one third-party module called PyMySQL. Okay, this you have to install. Pandas. This is also a third-party module. NumPy, third-party module. Selenium. This is also a third-party. This is not present in default in Python. We have to install it. I will show you how to install it. Then we have something called built-in module that is present in Python. We just have to import it. Okay. Like we have module called arrays. We have module called math. So we have a lot of modules, inbuilt modules. The one which we are creating, these are called user-defined module. We have created these modules. Okay. These modules are created by us. Okay. So let's say in this module, I have three functions. Okay. One is for adding two numbers. Is returning me the sum. One is for subtraction two numbers a comma b. And this is returning me a minus b. And let's say one is for multiplication. This will return a. Okay, and we save this module as, let's say we call it as arithmetic module something. Okay, so the name of this module is, guys, arithmetic.py. Okay, now I want to use this function. I want to use this function from a different module, from a not, I don't want to call it here. Here, if I can call it, will work perfectly fine. 12, 13. If we print it, it's not printing anything, so we just print it. Okay, but I want to use these functions from a different module. Okay. So I will create a new file, and here I will import this module. The name of this module is arithmetic. Okay, so I will import it using this import statement. Import arithmetic, and once I import it, then I can use these functions. Okay, so I can call these functions arithmetic dot add, and I can pass the numbers. Let's say it's 12, 13. Okay, then I want to call another module called sub, called multiply, everything. Okay, and I want to print them. So I will just add a print statement after each one. And this is like, this is my, I'm just naming it my module. Okay, you can. Okay, so I imported, and if you see the condition for working of this is, yeah, this the Python Day9, I think. Both these modules should be in the same folder right now. Okay, we have this my module which we created, and this is the arithmetic module that we both are in the same folder. Okay, if they are in a different folder, then there is a different way of importing it that we will discuss later. But right now our precondition is both should be in the same folder. Okay. So now if we run this, no module called arithmetic. Okay, are we making any mistake in the module name? So let me just copy this name here and let me paste it here. Name to be changed. And if I run this, this is the way, we can have n number of functions in a different module and we can use it from a different module. Is this clear, guys, how we did this? Any doubt in this?
No, Danish.
So there are different ways of importing also. We'll discuss this in the upcoming class. So we'll wrap it here, guys. Okay. Any question, any doubt, feel free to ask. Okay, if no questions, then thank you for your time, guys. See you guys in the next class. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.